Hi, I'm Jennell Evans, and I specialize in helping people make big transitions in life with greater ease so that they can have more joy, fulfillment, and freedom in their future. And I wanted to talk about a topic relative to midlife, the changes at midlife. Is it cause for a crisis, or is it an opportunity or a catalyst for really a much happier life? So I'm focusing on this topic because a lot of my clients between their mid 40s and mid 60s have also been really focusing on this during the global pandemic. There's been more space in our lives to really look and assess what's really going on in our lives. Are we happy? Are we not happy? Whatever the case is. And I think that's why I thought it was so important to really talk about this, because there are certain things that we can do to make this journey more enjoyable. People are taking stock. They're asking themselves hard questions. Some people are moving forward, making plans very calmly about their future, and others are very panicked and feeling a lot more negative and overwhelmed, not sure what's really, possible anymore. And they know that they need to make some big changes in their life at a time that there seems to be so much uncertainty and so many changes swirling around us. And midlife is a time that we come face to face with the potential of making some big changes in our life, and that can be exciting and it can be scary for some as well. The big crisis triggers can be everything from facing an empty nest. And as I'm recording this, people are sending their kids to colleges and universities. It's mid-August. That can be a huge trigger for people at that time of their life. And also an empty house, whether that's something planned, as in a divorce, or the unexpected loss of a partner or spouse, or just a family member, can also be a huge trigger. Realizing that you may never have that dream career that you had always hoped you would have can trigger people at midlife, or never living in that special location that you had always dreamed about and told yourself one day that beach was going to be your home. An unexpected health diagnosis, I'm certainly seeing that with a lot of people, and that just a higher level of awareness about the changes that you're noticing about yourself at midlife, plus just your own mortality. For a lot of us, beginning to lose friends at midlife, can sort of be that wake-up call that while we think we're going to live forever, nobody really does. The term midlife crisis was actually coined by a Canadian psychoanalyst and organizational expert named Elliot Jacques in a paper he published in 1965. But midlife crisis is not an official medical diagnosis, which makes research about midlife crisis really challenging. And not everybody feels like they have a midlife crisis, and that's great. But about 25% of us do feel like we're having some kind of midlife crisis when we get into that age range of mid 40s and over. A lot of times it's in our 50s. Then you layer a global pandemic on top of that phase of life. And I think that is why a lot of people that I know I'm working with and talking to are feeling sadness. They're feeling, this hum in the back of their life that won't go away. Depression diagnoses are definitely up. Health issues are up. Sleepless nights are up. A general feeling of not being able to be as productive, even though many people share with me they're working more hours, even if they are working from home. But they're not getting as much done. So that is not a good feeling as far as being less productive. So whether or not you feel like you're having a midlife crisis, some experts do believe that there is a natural dip or slump. They call it a U curve that happens to our well-being in midlife. And that U-shaped curve, that dip, impacts our satisfaction in life over our entire life cycle. And Dan Peek, who you may know is a very successful author of 10 best-selling books, I saw that he was in a nextavenue.org blog the other day, and he made some really excellent points that I wanted to share in this post. And he says, and I want to quote him, "We don't have the research to support what is often called a midlife crisis, but there are similar experiences akin to a slight dip or slump in our individual happiness at midlife that happens across the world when people experience certain things like empty nesting or realize their level of professional success or lack thereof in their 50s. So while the severity of the dip involving our happiness and fulfillment is not life-threatening, it can definitely be a period of sadness, personal adjustments that seem to never end. We can be kind of more on edge. We can't get that great night's sleep anymore. We don't feel as productive. Maybe our relationships are suffering. We're having more conflicts. We are fuzzy when it comes to trying to figure out what's next in our life. Maybe we've had all these accomplishments and we don't know what the future is. What does that look like, right? And so we just can get into this place that is not very positive or not very productive. So Dan Pink had 3 suggestions that I want to share, that how we can begin the process of lifting ourselves out of the slump. And the first thing he said was just to focus on your top 5 goals. And I know from working with people trying to figure out what's next, sometimes they want to focus on 10 things, and that's really hard to do and impossible. And unfortunately, if we try to take on too much in figuring out big changes, big priorities in our life, we can get demoralized and we can be demotivated, and then we don't take action. So he says, just stop the confusion and focus on just 5 goals, no more. It's just as important too, he says, to know what you want as what you don't want in your life at midlife and beyond. The second suggestion he made was stop the comparison game. Ignore what other people are doing. And I think he's so spot on with this suggestion, because so often social media just perpetuates that everybody else in life has figured out midlife, and that's not true. And everybody else has this perfect life. Nobody does. And we all know that, what's the expression they have? The comparison is the thief of our joy. We should never compare our lives to other people's, but we often see so many pictures of other people's lives on Facebook that we can go into that rabbit hole, and it's not healthy for us at all. The third thing that Dan Pink suggests is get a mentor, someone who is older and more experienced than we are, and someone who's navigated phases of life, maybe even beyond midlife a bit, right? And has that experience that can help you navigate what's next for you. And someone that you trust, someone that can guide you because they've gone before you. And it makes so much sense. And as I said earlier, some people will navigate midlife with ease and embrace it. But if you're struggling with trying to make some changes here at midlife that you know you need to make, once you know it, you can't unknow these things, right? You get those feelings that something has to be different for you to ever be happy again. So if you're struggling with that, it feels like a big dip or slump is most likely affecting your mental, your emotional, and physical health too. Maybe you know that, maybe you're not even seeing symptoms of that, but you may see them in your future. And it may be stealing joy from you every single day, and you'll never get that time back. So reason enough right there to take some action, because all of this can take a toll on your well-being if you're not able to sleep or eat or concentrate or really be able to, ask yourself these questions at midlife that are just deep and really can tap into your heart, that we all need to do, looking in the mirror type questions that are so important. Or maybe you don't even feel like spending time with people or hobbies that you used to love to do or fun things that you used to look forward to. That is affecting your life. I think the big lie about midlife is that it doesn't necessarily have to mark the beginning of some kind of decline in our life. The truth is, we don't become irrelevant, and we certainly don't become less intelligent when we have a certain birthday or reach a certain milestone, the 50s, the 55, whatever it is. And we owe it to ourselves to keep learning and growing and expanding and developing new interests, so that, we can really be happier and more fulfilled. We can be interesting and we can become more interested in other things at midlife. And yes, it's common to understand that, hey, we are aging. Of course, we see the signs of that. However, midlife can be a time that is exciting if you approach it from a place of curiosity and embrace it as an opportunity to maybe live the life you've never been able to live before. Sometimes we marry young, or we start working very young, and we never are able to have the job or the family or partner or whatever it is that we want until we get to this place in life. So it can be a tremendous opportunity for you to have exactly what you want finally in your life. And see this as an opportunity to really reflect and evaluate the life you're living now, so you can close the gap on where you are today and where you want to be in your future. Because the decisions you make at midlife have tremendous impact on the rest of your life. I believe we can do better at midlife. I believe we can get better at doing the things we need to do to make the rest of our life, which hopefully is, double the time, moving forward. So I believe midlife can be a catalyst for creating a much better life. We're just not trained how to do it, so it just doesn't feel all natural. And I'm going to be very honest, because I do this work with my clients. It is not fast. There's nothing magical that can make transformations at midlife super easy. It takes time to open up your heart and to dig deep into what your truest desires are, what you want, not what you think other people want you to do, and to open up your mind to all kinds of possibilities for your future. Okay, that takes work, and it takes intentional action to know that you're making progress towards the things that you really want in your life. Relying on willpower or vision boards is never going to cut it, nor will going to inspirational talks necessarily be the catalyst for you to be able to come back to your home and do whatever it is that you heard in that inspirational talk. And a lot of times we can just become even more delusioned after a while, that, hey, well, I'm not able to make progress on this. I'm not able to, figure it out. So here's the truth. If you do feel like you're having a dip or some kind of slump here at midlife, that is the first step to being aware that you want to make some changes in your life to get you out of that slump, right? And so much of our experiences in life is always rooted in our mindset, our lens to the world, right? And so it's so important that we try to view our midlife years as a time of unprecedented opportunity for growth and change and expansion of joy and fulfillment, if we choose to have that positive lens on this time in our life. And choosing to be open and curious, and that's going to bring you more insights and creative ideas and more opportunities for what you can have in your future. All right, so if you're thinking about making some major changes in your life, such as changing careers, starting something new, relocating, ending a long-term relationship, that happens sometimes with people, or maybe you're just in the progress of trying to figure out what is next for you, and that's huge. Just make sure your decisions are rooted in a few things, like research about all your options, your own insights, that you've really dug deep inside about what you want and no longer what you're trying to do to maybe please other people, and your experiences that you want to have in your life, right? Instead of trying to make these decisions when you're really struggling or having a lot of inner turmoil about things that you need help resolving before you go into planning mode about your life, because then you'll just be making decisions from a very emotional place and a very kind of reactionary place, and that probably won't give you the results that you want. So here's my call to action for anyone listening to this. I would ask you to decide to get the support that you need to make the changes that you want to make in your life, or just start that process. And that might be working with a counselor, a coach, or a mentor, as Dan Pink suggests. Great suggestion. Someone who can help you figure out what your priorities are, what those few goals are that you want to focus on, and someone that will help you also develop a resilient, positive mindset and hold you accountable for the actions that you say you want to take. That's where the work comes in, holding ourselves accountable and having a supportive person, whether it's a counselor, a coach, or mentor, is so valuable in this process to really make that transformation that you want. So I'll share a quote with you as I wrap up from Brené Brown. People may call what happens at midlife a crisis, but it's not. It's an unraveling, a time when you feel a desperate pull to live the life you want to live, not the one you're supposed to live. The unraveling is a time where you are challenged by the universe to let go of who you think you are supposed to be and to embrace who you are. I wish you all the best in figuring out what's next for you, how to get you out of that slump or that dip if you're feeling that, so that you can have the best life possible. Thank you.